So the source must be equally intelligent. So the entire universe, though we are not able to find a cause readily, it must have emerged from something very, very knowledge in nature, knowingness in nature. This is another philosophy. So, what about the people who are disbelievers, irreligious, unspiritual, immoral and unethical? What happens to them? This is a very pertinent question. Are we supposed to be moral for no reason? Are we supposed to be ethical for no reason? Rational for no reason? So there must be a difference. So he is speaking so much about the devotional people, the pious people, the religious people, the ethical and the moral people. Now in contrast, what is going to happen to the immoralists in this world, unethical people? This is the question he has raised. Don't you think it's very pertinent? My dear viewers, are you understanding what I am saying? Are you with me? Mukhabahurupadebhyah purushasya ashramei saha chatvaro jajnire varnaha gunai vipradayah prathag. The question is in this manner. Tesham ashantakamanam ka nishtha abhijitatmanam. Those people who have no knowledge about the self and whose minds are not at all peaceful or quiet, is always in a cyclone and a tempest caused by passions, prejudices, competition, jealousy, hatred, intolerance. So many things. What happens to them? So he says, the world itself is a kind of an aggregate or a compound. It is made up of a number of components or constituents. So the whole subject is tackled in a different manner. See, all our scriptures may begin to discuss a question at a point, but soon the answer grows into a comprehensive proposition. So the entire genesis of creation is discussed by Chamasa Maharshi and Sreemad Bhaagavatam. Mukha bahurupadebhyah purushasya ashramaihi saha chatvaro jajnire varnaha gunaihi vipradayah prathag. The entire world is constituted of 4 different groups, he says. As I always say, like we have 4 different kinds of blood group. In the same manner, here it is so. And in order to understand the proposition, he presents it in the form of a body. See, whenever it comes to a question of describing the world, describing the creatures and their unique composition and the like, we always take to allegory and comparison. So generally the world on the one hand and nature, it is described as either a tree or a body. What is this tree? Tree has the invisible roots, the visible trunks, and thereafter a number of branches and by branches. Then you will find leaves, before that twigs, and finally flowers and fruits. So the tree is an aggregate. The world also is an aggregate. The creation is an aggregate, he says. And in the aggregate you will find the invisible roots we are not able to see. But the trunk we are able to see. Ultimately, what is the root of the whole tree? There is something called the pith at the center of the trunk. It is in the form of a hole which is filled with a liquid. Now, can you ever think the liquid gets consolidated? It becomes all these things. What all? The trunk, the wood, the bark. And the bark is further covered by a thin layer of coating which will peel off. Then you have branches. And the branches go in different direction. The trunk apparently grows vertically, but the branches grow horizontally. And at the tip of the branches you have by branches, still by branches. And it comes to widely spread out leaves, different colors, and each leaf has got its own structure. Then we have the flowers of a different kind. Then fruits. The fruit has got a seed, so many things, fiber and all that. But the source is one. So at the source level, the creation is one. But when the creation as an evolute begins to take place, you will find it expresses itself to become an ample and infinite variety. And this variety, however various it may be, it can be classified into 4 groups. And they have got their relative positions also. To make the whole aggregate understood, he says, Purushasya ashramaihi saha chatvaro jajnire varnaha. 4 varnas were born. I already told you the word varna is something very significant. Varna and varnya. Varna means color. A science or a process evolved from color. What is that? Color is the basic factor which we are able to see readily. By seeing the color, we will be able to know the shape. And from the shape, we can understand which particular tree or plant and what properties it has. So that varna is very important. So a science evolved on the basis of the varna, the color. Here also he says, Purushasya ashramaihi saha chatvaro varnaha. 4 different varnas, he says. And these have evolved from, imagine the whole humanity to be an aggregate, a person, a body like our body. Our body has different parts. The first thing that we see whenever we look at anybody is the head and the face. Then we start looking downward. So he has hands, he has thighs, he has also his feet. Like that, these 4 varnas also have come from these respective places. In Bhagavad Gita, in the 15th chapter, he says, Urdhvamulamadash-shakham ashwatham prahuravyayam shamdamsi yasya parnani yastam veda saveda vid. See, Vedas are the only treasure, source material from which we are able to know what is our human personality constituted with. And what is this constitution of the entire creation? We are able to understand the whole creation from our Vedas. We also know how to do away with it. After all, what is Veda? The Vedas are telling you about the right way of human life, whereby human being as an individual, as a family unit, as a segment of the society, the societal aggregate, the nation, the globe, will be able to sustain life in spite of all the onslaughts and impacts from time to time. Our dharma is defined in this manner. Dharanad dharma ityahuhu dharmo dharayati prajaha. The word dharma has derived its structure, dharanad, by the power, by the potential it has for sustaining the individual, family, society, nation and globe. While living, after all, we are one individual. Hundreds, thousands, millions of people are there. And hundreds of nations are there. And we are surrounded by the Panchbhutas. Any time, a strong wind may come. A heavy downpour may result. Tsunamis, ebbs and tide may take place. So every time we are under the grip of nature, all are apparently too big before us. So ups and downs are likely, not likely, inevitable. Whatever may be the external ups and downs, we must be able to live harmoniously with stability inside, in the mind, in the intelligence and the ego level. The Vedas have evolved a dharma which it discloses in a beautiful manner in the form of Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. This is the way you can sustain your life. That sustenance is very clearly mentioned there. So it is very, very clear for us. Now these Vedas are the source material. So he describes the Vedas in this manner. Urdhvamulam adhashakham ashwathaha prahu avyayam. It is like a peepal tree. Normally a peepal tree is very huge, it can be. Whenever a peepal tree is planted, it is said that 4 or 5 people together should hold the seedling and plant it, not one person alone. And good planting is a ceremonial one, a religious one. As it grows, we prepare a beautiful bed for it, so that people can go up and do pradakshina, circumambulation. And when the plant grows to a certain, say something like 10 or 20 years, first of all, even before that, we conduct an Upanayana ceremony for the plant, a sacred thread ceremony. Afterwards, a marriage also is done. Who is the partner, the female partner? The neem tree. Now, our Ashwatha is considered to be a ceremonial and a religious tree. It's something very important. Why is it so? He says, Urdhvamulam adhashakam. And normally an Ashwatha tree can live for more than 100 years. Whoever plants it, it will survive the planter. And one tree in a temple, in a village, will be a substantial measure in the form of taking away the carbon dioxide discharged by the people, purifying the air and giving you oxygen. The tree may be one in the temple, but the benefits are to the entire village and even town. Let us have more and more of people trees, Ashwatha trees. So, Urdhvamulam adhashakam. But that Ashwatha is actually growing upward and the roots are below. We know about it. Now, he says that the entire creation is an inverted Ashwatha tree. Inverted. So, the roots are above and only the branches and leaves are below for you to see. Think for a moment. Is not the world so? We are living upon the earth. When you look down, maybe maximum 6 feet or 6.5 feet, depending upon your height, you can look down. Then we strike ground. Suppose you travel in the earth. As you are standing here, you are standing here on the other side also. Then also down below is earth. If at all there is a world, that world is only above and surroundingly. So it's always an upward. Now such an earth, do you think it could have sprouted from below? Certainly not. It could have come only from above. And as far as we know, the scientists are telling us this earth is a portion broken from the sun. And as it came down, it started getting cool and cool and cool and cool. And finally, when it reached the trajectory where it is now, it had become solid like this as we see. Though it is very solid, rocky, etc., do you think the earth is all solid inside? Certainly not. It's only solid outside. Inside it becomes thinner, finer, etc. It may be all fluid, and finally at the center of the earth, it may be perfectly gaseous also. It's not as we are seeing now. Why I mention this? Only to make you understand that the earth itself has fallen from above. Any planet in this world can only come from above. It cannot come from below. You stand on the other side of the earth, diametrically opposite. Then also you will find above, above, above. There is nothing called below. So, if the earth has fallen from the sun must have fallen from other places. The whole universe has come from above. Urdhvamulam adhashakam. So the entire creation is fed by the roots which are invisible, inaccessible to us. Normally a tree grows from the roots, and the roots take nourishment from the earth, water from the earth, minerals and salts from the earth, and it starts taking sunlight, moonlight, air and the like. That is how it grows. What is a tree? It is nothing other than transformed. The basic elements transformed in the form of a biological tree, that's all. Now here, the roots are above. So how long the universe will exist, where from it has come, in which direction it grows, and what can we do about the growth? Nothing is within our hands. Air is there, therefore we breathe. Water is there, therefore we drink. Food is there, therefore we eat. Earth is there, therefore we make our residences using earth's own substances like brick, mortar and so many other things. These are available to us. We don't know how they have been born. Is there anybody who can explain how so many minerals, so many salts, so many herbal kingdoms, all these things have come? No. We can only see what is there. The root we are unable to say. It is all inaccessible. That is why it is mentioned, Urdhvamulam. At the same time, there cannot be a tree only with roots. The growth of the roots is proportionate to the trunk and the branches. A plant will have roots extending up to maximum 1 foot or so. A huge tree, its roots must be several meters spread around. So the roots are above Adhashyakham, Ashwatham, Prahuravyam. So the comparison is very good, but the comparison is not all full. There is a proverb which says, no simile is applicable on all the fours. So the whole creation is like a tree, agreed. What kind of a tree? Inverted tree with roots above. All right. It is comparable with a tree. But every tree is born at a point we know, and it will also perish. But the creational tree or the universal tree, so to say, Ashwatham Prahuhu Avyayam. It is inexhaustible, interminable. There is no extinction at all for it. Everyone born in this world already finds the creation. He doesn't know when it started. He will not know when it is going to end. So from our perception, from our experience, you will find the creation is always present, ever present. It is avyaya, interminable. Chandamsi yasya parnani yastam vedasa vedavid. Chandamsi means the Vedas. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharva Veda. So all the 4 Vedas are like parnani yasya, like the leaves of this huge universal inverted tree. Yastam Veda Saveda Vid. So the Vedas are something in the way of Jnapaka and not Karaka. The Vedas are to enlighten us about the nature of existence, about the mystery of creation, and in the creation, in handling the creation, to make it useful to us, benevolent to us, not to be disturbing us. The secret and the wisdom are provided by the Vedas. So the Vedas should be considered to be a knowledge treasure, an enlightening treasure, from which we are able to derive knowledge, which knowledge will be able to make us understand the structure and the laws of the universe, so that our life will be harmonious, successful, effective and fulfilling. Chandamsi yasya parnani yastam veda saveda vid. Now you get a clear relevance to the Vedic literature. The Vedic literature is meant to enlighten the intelligent man, the intelligent human, in regard to his life, his relationship with the universal creation. That is the purpose. So treat the Vedas as a source of enlightenment. About what? About the universe as a whole, and your own life plays an importance in the universe. In the Ayurveda Shastra also, there is a reference. Urdhvamulam rishayah purusham viduhu. This Ayurveda is supposed to be a science. A science of what? A science dealing with the nature of life, preservation of life, prolonging life, and dealing with all disturbances to life. Diseases are causing ill health. What we want is health. So whenever there is a torment or an obstruction to the health, Ayurveda comes up and deals with it. So medicinal science in general is a science of the health and well-being of the body. They say, Urdhvamulam Adhashyakham. We all feel that we are rooted to the earth through our feet and we are growing. So the earth is like the branch, leaf, etc. of the tree, and the root are the feet. Ayurveda says no. Urdhvamulam Adhashyakham. The entire growth of the body has taken place from the brain. At the time of fertilization, when the ovum is fertilized by the sperm in the fallopian tube and it gradually passes into the uterus, it starts growing, the fetus. The entire growth takes place dictated by, governed by the brain. The hands, the fingers, the toes, the legs, the chest, the tongue, everything is growing from above. That is from the head. You know, above the eyebrows, within the skull, the entire machinery is there. Directly it does not do anything like the eyes, nose and the ears. But the eyes, the nose, the ears, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the pancreas, everything is made and activated by the brain. Our doctors will say that for every beat of the heart, for every bellowing of the lungs, there should be a conscious stimulation from the brain. Every heartbeat follows a stimulation from the brain. So the entire life depends upon the head. So it is a growth from the head, outcome, extension from the head. That is why we say, Urdhvamulam Adhashakam. My dear man, don't think that you have grown from your feet. You have grown from your head. Rishayaha Purusham Viduhu. So the head should be kept very cool and very calm. Ayurveda says that man always has something called adi, agitation, discomfort and turbulence in his mind. Whatever is the ill health of the mind, it is called adi, psychological troubles. And these adis have to be properly dealt with and treated. When the adis are cured, automatically vyadhis, half or more of them will become extinct. And whatever is left aside in the form of physical and biological diseases, we are prescribing medicines for redressing them. This is what Ayurveda says. The first verse in our Ayurveda Ashtanga Hridaya Shastra is Ragadi Rogan Satatanushaktan Asheshakaya Prasratan Asheshan Autsukya Moha Ratidan Jaghana Yo Apurva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. The author, Vagbhatacharya, first of all makes his adoration to Dhanvantari, describing him as, O Dhanvantari, Apurva Vaidyaya, the very rare physician, Ragadi Rogan, Autsukya Moharatitan Jaghana. You are the one who has dealt with and redressed completely Raga Adi Rogan, the diseases called desire, hatred, greed, etc. See, Ayurveda itself says that. So what do you understand? Things like love, hatred, fear, competition, jealousy and all these things, they are arising in our mind. It is governed by the brain. So our brain is the focus for us. Why I mentioned it? Only to tell you that this allegory makes it easy for us to understand. Mukhabahu rupadebhyah purushasya ashramai saha chatvaro jajnire varnaha gunair vipradayah pratak. He speaks about 4 varnas. And these varnas are called Brahma or Brahma Swabhava, Kshatra Swabhava, Vaishya Swabhava and Shudra Swabhava. These are the 4. Now there is a science made up of, there is a science evolved on the basis of the Varnas. 4 different categories are there. These categories are determined by the inner psycho-intellectual constitution. Psycho-intellectual constitution. What do I mean by that? Factors which are relating to the mind, relating to the intelligence, they are really determining the Varna. So a person belonging to the Brahmana or the Brahma Swabhava will have a certain type of tendencies and motivations and pulsations in him. The Kshatriya, he will have another set. The Vaishya will have another set. And the Shudra will have another set. All these will be there. What is this Brahma Swabhava? Brahma Swabhava is primarily given to the development of the mind intelligence, particularly with a view to contemplate upon the soul or the self and live in inner abundance, affluence, enrichment and ecstasy. This is the purpose of a Brahma Svabhava.